This episode of the Policing Matters podcast is sponsored by ESOF by Miller Mendel. Learn more about streamlining your agency's crucial pre-employment background investigation process with ESOF at www.esoph.com. That's www.esoph.com. The Rochester Police Department's Workforce Development Program, launched in February 2022, addresses challenges in police recruitment. This voluntary initiative provides candidates with training, community engagement opportunities, and preparation for the police exam. Participants complete volunteer work and receive recognition for their efforts. The program includes an early hire initiative to retain candidates by immersing them in the department culture through civilian roles during the hiring process. Since its inception, 500 candidates have participated, with 54 completing the program and entering police academies. 65% of those hired by the Rochester Police Department were minority candidates. In this episode, I speak with Sergeant Justin Collins, Director of the RFPD's Police Recruitment and Workforce Development, about the initiative. Hey, welcome back to Policing Matters on policeone.com. I'm Jim Dudley. I'm your host, and I hope you're checking us out on YouTube as well. And I'll give you a chance to take a look at our guest, Sergeant Justin Collins. Well, when recruitment got really tough, so many law enforcement agencies seemed to circle the wagons and became very parochial in their approach to coveting potential recruits for their departments. One agency took a different approach. Well, our guest today is a police officer first, but also a shrewd businessman. Sergeant Justin Collins is a 21-year veteran of the Rochester Police Department in New York, and he melded both careers to build an innovative and outstanding recruitment program there. Well, he's a returning guest. Appreciate you taking the time for us. Welcome back, Sergeant Justin Collins, Director of Public Recruitment and Workforce Development.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I'm watching you and all the young people that you're bringing through the program there. And like I said in the introduction, it's not, laser focused on just police jobs. You ran your own recruiting business before shifting efforts exclusively to the department. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So the last time we actually spoke, I was still on the private side of things when it comes to recruitment. So it's been about 3 years now since we've implemented this program. But how we start is I kind of saw some of this coming. We're going back to 2017 of the numbers dropping tremendously, say from when you and I took this career. As I mentioned, I'm a 21-year veteran. When I took the job, or when I applied for the job, there were thousands of people who were applying, and you could see the numbers dissipating for sure. So came up with something on the side to do, unrelated to RPD, the department that I work for, to help prepare people for the hiring process. As you know, unless you have a relative or a close friend that's in this process is not easy. For us, it's an 11-step process, and I'm sure it's similar across the country. It's a long, lengthy process. It's easy, a lot of hurry up and wait, and it's easy to get discouraged or just get distracted and move on. And I started seeing that more and more, that we had quality applicants, that we needed to find a way to make them sticky to the process, sticky to our organization, in which case my own business, police exam career prep. Once we had refined it, it was really moving, and we were able to place a couple hundred, I want to say around 400 people in police agencies. We would spend a lot of time with them, getting to know the candidates. One of the pieces that's big to me, that's never about quantity, it's about quality. We can look as many years as we want to go back, Jim, about some of the L's and things that have hurt policing. And it's always that lack of emotional intelligence, whatever word you want to call it. Back then, it was always, we want to make sure that we get the right fit for police agencies. We don't just want to throw people in uniforms and see what happens. Even though we're down numbers, we wanted to develop those candidates and really try to prepare them for 21st century policing. The backbone of that, to me, is community work. being engaged in communities in crisis, and really making sure the candidate understands the depth of service and the types of people and situations they're going to be dealing with. So that's what police exam career prep was. We started working and having contracts, actually, which was unheard of at the time, with other agencies trying to place these folks and sending police leaders these applicants, which we knew very well, more than just knocking on doors and reading their ex-girlfriends' statements about them or whatever. We, school teachers, second grade teachers, all important stuff, but we got to know the candidate on a personal level for a length of time, because that's how you're going to build trust with anyone, right? Is time spent with them consist. Are they the same way in June as they are in December? Are they the same person? So we were able not only prepare them and get to know them, but prepare them for the written exam, the physical agility exam, the interviews, the multitude of interviews. So really getting to know that candidate. And as we grew, things went well. Of course, one of the leaders, one of the command in my department, our department was down, our staffing was down, appealed to me and said, we really could use your help. We'd love to implement something like that here. It was a tough choice because obviously this was a business that, I had built. I was making money from the business, but my heart is with this police department. It gave me my shot. So I decided to put down personal gain for a chance to help this department and build something innovative that could be really a benchmark for this place to start moving forward. And I knew that I'd have an opportunity to do it on a mass level because the department is so large. So it was a tough choice. A lot of people that I'm close to thought I was nuts for giving up a business to help the place where I worked, but it just seemed to be the right move. And we've been going strong for about 3 years, and I've helped a bunch of people.
Yeah, and it's that altruistic approach that brings in this wide variety of young people, and not just for law enforcement jobs. I want to get to that in a minute, but
Sure.
we posted, if the listener or viewer goes to our show notes, they can take a look at one of your posters that's pretty much an all comers. You're inviting people to come for police and fire and dispatch and EMS, and then I've seen your social media where you've got kids. I call them kids, but I mean they're high school, senior, juniors, through college, and they're looking into jobs throughout the city through different types of the workforce. And just like you said, you start them in the communities where they could do
Right.
their learning and they can do the help at the same time. Uh, where do you find all these kids? Are you plucking them out of
Right.
school?
So it's funny that you mentioned that, because it kind of acts as a wraparound. Because even though we're in the community, exposing the community, we're actually acting as a recruiter there, because someone's saying, well, my niece or my nephew or my cousin is interested in that. And of course, we have a very diverse program. So no matter where we are, you probably can relate a family or friend to one of the people that you're seeing in our program. So it makes it that much more accessible and understandable what we're doing. Where we find the folks is a variety of places. We get them from the civil service list when we're talking about our of age folks that are trying to become police officers, anywhere from 19 to 34, extension if you have military. But we're trying to build, and this is what you saw that poster, we're trying to work with the city school district in a partnership called Career Pathways to Public Safety. So our adult program is going well, but now we want to reach back and develop youth. So we have our Career Pathways to Public Safety, which is a 9th through 12th grade program where we're trying to get people interested in our profession and showing them either some curriculum involved in it too, teaching them pieces of law and different parts of what we do. There's a lot of demonstrations. And then we have our Police Explorers program. Now, there's a lot of Explorer posts across. We're relaunching this. This is something that we stopped at COVID, and we're relaunching these programs. So the Career Pathways to Public Safety and the Police Explorer programs they've existed, but we're almost like remixing them to make them a little more applicable to what we do. The issue that we've always had, though, is that after they're out of the Explorer program or out of Career Pathways to Public Safety, where do they go? They cannot be hired by our police department until they're 19 in like 8 months, and then sworn in by their 20th birthday. So we have that 2 to 3 year gap where do they go? Well, they're not coming here, or they weren't coming here. So we needed to figure out ways to make them sticky to our organization. enter workforce development. So we wanted to build something strong to start, which could be a launching pad, and they could naturally progress and then boom into the department, all while investing in them, making sure that we're getting it right. Now, as much as it's great to talk about how we're developing them and getting them ready, we're also getting rid of people, Jim, who just are cutting it and who do not want to invest in the community and are only taking this job because they want to drive fast and they want a gun and for the wrong reasons. Obviously, that's all stuff that's part of this profession, but we're looking to invest and put our resources and time towards people that are genuinely can understand what we're doing and empathizing with people in crisis and understand exactly what the job is to the level that they're able to based on what they're learning. But definitely we've thrown out as many great people that have come through the program. We've thrown out probably a couple hundred more. Just because they weren't the right fit. I guess throw out, we've separated service from them just because they weren't the right fit. We want to make sure that we are investing the right amount of time and the right resources into people who have a heart for service. That's just, it's just it. But when we go back to the youth, for the longest time, the organization that I work for here, the Rochester Police Department, we did not have to do this. The people just came to us. This is really an opportunity to rebuild from the ground up. And I talk again about quality over quantity. If you look back at all the times that there's been issues with law enforcement, going to Rodney King, to Ferguson, and there's many, many more, right? Unfortunately, we want to make sure that we're doing whatever we can to develop future leaders and people that are emotionally intelligent and get it. And I think while we can't guarantee that time spent in the community will do that, I definitely like our chances. Because as sure as, again, we're graduating all these great people. I get a lot of people when I ask them to go read to school-age children or to volunteer at after-school activities at our Boys and Girls Club or work with the elderly. They're like, what? They're looking at me like, why do we want to do this? Why are we doing this? Because that's what it's all about. This is a vulnerable population in communities that you're going to be assigned. And it's kind of like a long interview, But again, we would want to spend this amount of time and resources on a job like this, on a career like this, because of the power, the responsibility, the authority that we're going to be instilling in these folks and giving these folks. Doing that work on the front end is huge. We do a lot with implicit bias. We do a lot with financial literacy, trying to prepare that candidate for the career that they may be entering and that they think they do. We talked about fire. That career partnership, career pathways, public safety, there is fire component, there's an EMS component. We are one of those components, but we're starting to work with the City of Rochester Fire Department in developing a model like our program to help them be able to make candidates sticky to their organization. Mm-hmm. I want to explain a little bit about what we do. So we meet bi-weekly in person. We meet it's a hybrid model. So we have our in-person meetings, and then we do a lot through a social media platform. And the social media platform is really the glue to this. Having my officers, my recruitment officers who work for me, having them be able to keep tabs on 100 people, because that's literally what we carry in the group, is really extremely challenging. It would be very challenging keeping track of 100 people, making sure they're all doing what you need them to do. So we use the social media platform. We leverage that to help us keep tabs on the candidates. The program is 100% voluntary. It's a hybrid program, as I mentioned. We do have expectations. Expectations are just slightly below the police academy because this is a pre-academy program. We do have a leadership hierarchy in the group. So we have a class captain, a couple class lieutenants, class sergeants. I like to keep people accountable. We have a very strong culture in the group. It's about next man up, next woman up, supporting each other, very inclusive. I think our diversity rate in the class is like around 74%. So it's really a reflection of the city that we're serving. But it's definitely, it's laser focused. It's competitive, but it's laser focused on getting to that opportunity. And when you get there, making it happen and going through and making the police academy and so on. But there are no guarantees in our program. There are people that get all the way through and do not get picked up. But that's where we talk about some of these satellite programs. We've got partnerships that we've built now with local private security firms, and there's a consortium of them. We've got partnerships now with campus public safety. So we've launched programs there. We got now a partnership with a local hospital campus safety. So we're working with them. So if someone doesn't make it through our police department, they now have opportunities that we're providing them to go to, say, campus safety or to one of these private security firms. And it doesn't mean they can't come back to us with some time, or maybe they start a fantastic career in one of those places. But it's all about pipelines for us. So we don't want a quick fix. Like, let's just meet our numbers and be done with it. We want to set something up that's sustainable and that can, a lot like the private sector. So again, my mind is there. When I think about my business and how I built it, it was to create pipelines that could feed each other. So that's what we've set up here. If you would ask me 20 years ago when I started working here, I would be able to implement a business process in the Rochester Police Department, I would have said you were crazy. It's never going to happen. But here we are in 2024, and that happened. So implementing these pipelines, another pipeline we've created was our early hire program. And we have some jobs at police headquarters that are non-emergency call takers. And we have our blue light PTZ camera operators, which provide evidence for officers on the road. These are part-time to full-time jobs. We would just kind of fill these jobs with great people, but not necessarily people that were interested in law enforcement. We want to use these jobs as a way to groom and to develop people who are looking for work before they get to that ultimate goal of sworn officer. So our early hire program, since we started, I think we've had 17 people in it. 5 people have graduated, become Rochester police officers. Another 7 were poached by other agencies. We can't control that. I tell my bosses that when they're wondering what's going on, I tell them that it's not the NFL, right? We don't have guaranteed contracts with certain organizations. But we're excited for them to get the opportunity, and we can always take them back as a lateral down the road.
Yeah.
Once we get them into what we're doing. But the workforce group being the top of it, and then of course the police academy, we have our early hire program. We do a lot with interns. Like, we know that internships are very common in the private sector. Someone gets an internship, if they impress, then they get offered an entry-level position and so on. That is not how the Rochester Police Department operates. I don't know about other agencies, but I can tell you for sure that that is not how we operated. Now we've kind of changed that. Our Future Force intern program is another pipeline that we've created to workforce development. And since we started that, we've added, I think we've had about, well, I've got the number on my board right here. We've had about 22, right around 21 interns. And we still have a bunch here because they're going back and forth to college. We've now converted one person into a sworn officer. They went from intern to civilian employee to sworn officer. And we have another 3 more that are going to be taking that step. So you're starting to see the machine work where it's right fit. Are you interested in being a police officer? Here, let's start you here. Let's start you here versus just taking an intern for someone who has no real interest, who just thinks it'd be cool to be here. Some might say, well, that maybe they'll get interested. We don't have the time. We want to focus on people that have an interest in this profession and being selfish a little bit about, okay, they want this. Now let's put them in this spot. Let's put them in this spot, and let's keep pushing them forward to boom, they go to workforce development, and then boom, they're in the police academy.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot to unpack there, but I think number one, you're bringing these kids in at a really beginning level, right? So you're introducing them to the work ethic that they have to put in as much as they're receiving, right? Like any good mentorship program, that they've got to meet you halfway, that it's not a fit for everyone. But I know from a lot of your posts that you celebrate. And I think those 8 cops that get poached for other agencies, I think those are still a win.
Oh yeah,
because they're going into the profession. And I mean, we could all use the help. And I think when we throw up these walls and say, hey, we're only, the door only works one way. You're coming into our organization, or, the other door is out the back way and you're leaving. And I think so many agencies make that mistake in that they're hiring people for these other jobs, but they may not have that sort of ground up mentality of what the culture of an organization looks like. I think you're introducing that. I know you've celebrated the successes of young people that go into clerical jobs in city government or other jobs at Park and Rec or other places in your city. And what an awesome holistic approach to filling up, all the city agencies with really good people
Right.
and learning those ethics, the work ethics, the stick to it ethics. Let me ask you, are any of these programs paid or are they all voluntary?
Well, the early hire program is paid because they become part-time employees. There's
Great.
some full-time components too, so that's paid. The whole workforce development where we get everyone from, they're unpaid. Everyone, I mean, myself and my team are paid, but everyone who's in the program is completely voluntary.
Wow.
You're really getting someone at their heart, really trying to do this, which I think there's a lot more out there than people realize, Jim. But if people want to be led, as you know, from being a leader yourself, people want to be led and they want to be directed. If they want to be led, give them a way, show them the way. One of the benefits to what we're doing with our program is that it is continuous. There is no season, it doesn't stop. And the advantage to that is that people get to meet people who are believing, are doing it, and when they're hired. So, for example, that 10 that we just hired, there's about there's 77 other people who know that group very well. That just got a lot realer to them because they're gone now. They made it. I'm going to make it. So if you were
Yeah.
doubting yourself, you say, I'm going to make it. That machine is what helps continue to fuel people. I can talk all day to I'm blue in the face, and my officers can talk to them. But when you've got your peers who are pushing and they're making it, they're going to pick you up. So the village really helps raise this group too. And the same thing works as we move from career pathways to public safety and our younger folks from explorers. Where do they go? We want them to be mentored, right? That's a word that people throw around, but mentoring someone is difficult. It takes a lot of time, especially when you're talking about mentoring a lot of people, right? So how do you mentor large groups of people? We figured out a system that has been successful that allows not only myself to be involved, my officers to be involved, but again, people in this group that have now been mentored by us, they can mentor other folks. And that moves the machine and moves the needle. We're excited about the long-term future. If these programs have now been, the Department of Criminal Justice, as I mentioned to you, in New York State, they have made it part of the DCJS Knowledge Bank. So now they basically published the program, and I was glad because now it gives us a chance in mass to start to teach other people how we did this. And we've had a few agencies now start this process to include Rochester Fire Department, but a few other law enforcement agencies. But the real key to it is having these other folks in this program who you've mentored start to mentor others. And it really creates almost like a fraternity or sorority type environment. I'm a big sports guy too, so I see a lot like minor league sports, next man up, next woman up. And once you've started to do that, it just starts to move like a machine. You're putting in the right things into the group, and then the group leaders are then pushing it to the rest of the group. So we'll add on average probably 10 people, 15 people a month. 5 will stick. But now we didn't dump all our energy and resources into other people who just, maybe not bad people, just their heart is not in this.
Hmm.
And I just don't think you can invest enough resources and time into police officers. I just think we ask them to do a lot. Again, and this is cliche, but it's the truth, right? To tell me another profession where maybe military, where they're leaving, going to work at night or during the day, and you kiss your loved one goodbye, and they may not see you again.
Hmm.
That's not a thing.
Yeah.
So investing in that type of responsibility, I don't think you can invest enough because you're giving them so much authority, so much power. You're asking them to be so many things to so many people. And I know, we can go through the list of jobs they're asking law enforcement and what they're asking them to do, but spending time with them on the front end, I think long term, and only time will tell, will pay dividends for an organization. We know the people in our group, we are developing leaders. We're starting to see some of them become sergeants. We're starting to see some of them become, they're joining the SWAT team. We're seeing this happen. We think our time on the front end is going to produce amazing things for our agency. Yes, there are some other agencies that took some of our folks. We're proud of them too. But the bulk of them have been with the Rochester Police Department, and we're excited about where that's going to bring us in the future.
Nice. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the career pathways. And, a lot of young people are asking, it's not a FM station, WII FM, what's in it for me?
Sure.
There are a lot of perks for them that, maybe somebody not entering the program would realize until they're there. But first, I'd like to take a moment and thank our sponsor. ESOF is a secure, cloud-based pre-employment background investigation software system designed specifically for public safety agencies. Used by hundreds of agencies nationwide, ESOF has been credited with cutting the time it takes to process a pre-employment background investigation by up to 50%, saving agencies significant time, money, and resources without sacrificing investigation quality. For more information, go to esoph.com. That's ESOPH.com. And we're back, and I'm speaking with Sergeant Justice Justin Collins, public safety recruiter for Rochester, New York. Police Department, public safety, the city of Rochester. You got to cover, Justin. And we're talking a little bit about what's in it for the recruit or the mentee. And, for my students that are asking me about, their resume, and, a lot of them have nothing to put down, no part-time job or anything else. I tell them volunteer experience means an awful lot, especially with the things you're doing there, that it's a resume builder. It helps them with their communication skills, their social skills. They're learning new things along the way. Maybe they're latching on to a mentor. Tell me about the other things that you're telling these recruits as you're onboarding them. What else are they getting from your program?
When we're getting financial literacy, I think that the amount of money, a lot of times we find these folks they come from jobs, part-time jobs, or jobs where they're making very low wages. And in our agency, we've never had higher pay, which the officers deserve every dollar of it and then some. But your pay is going to skyrocket. So will some of the pressures as a police officer, all across the board. So teaching financial literacy, we know that stress comes from not being able to manage your money the right way. So we're teaching people those pieces. We're also teaching people about wellness. We're being very open up front with mental health. Granted, these people that we're developing and pushing towards the police academy are not yet officers, but we're trying to prepare them for the mental stress that they will feel as best that we can. As they prepare for this journey. So they're doing a lot with public speaking. We know this generation is doing a lot of phones. Our goal is to get people comfortable. We're going to be asking these young men and women soon to enter living rooms with folks, working on domestics, conflict management, de-escalation, trying to teach them to be, interview skills, those soft skills that are so important. We're trying to teach them that as we invest. And again, these are all things that even if they don't ultimately get to the goal of being a Rochester police officer, things that will be really relatable if they do jump over with my friends from the Rochester Fire Department, or be very relatable if they do jump over with a private security firm, or with our campus safety and our public safety at colleges. So it's time and energy well spent. They know they have a heart for service. They know they have a heart for public safety, but let's figure out where that is. And your time with us will be well spent. And our goal would be to land you in a position. Maybe it is an admin position at headquarters, or a clerical position of some sorts. There will be an opportunity at the end more times than not. The key is consistency. I ask for honesty, maturity, consistency, and emotional intelligence. Everybody in my group knows that's exactly what I want. Creating that culture of helping the next man or next woman up. I mean, there's jobs for everyone, but helping each other is the key. I don't allow any, judgment on somebody. The physical fitness is a key component. Some people come in, they're just not ready. But our instructors will get them ready. But the key is that, somebody there reaching a hand out to you to help you, that's a big part of it. And again, this is all pre-academy, but that investment on the front end, I believe, will pay tremendous dividends for our agency long-term.
Yeah, 100%. And, I recently got a call from a background investigator about a former student of mine, excellent. She was actually a TA for me in one of my classes after she took my CJ classes. And it was from Stanford University, public safety, if I can drop their name. And they have different levels of public safety officer, unarmed, but not quite that civilian level, not quite the police officer level. And it sounded like a 2-year program where if they were successful, they could move up into that sworn capacity. Is that similar to the way your program works?
So that's what the beautiful thing about, is Stanford a private college?
Yeah.
That's one of the beautiful things about that I really love as I learn about the collegiate world and college public safety. With the private sector or with the private college, they have the ability to move someone up. With us, we're still governed by New York State civil service law. So that's why I say there is no guarantees,
Mm.
although, there's no guarantees they can get a job here because we have a bunch of different steps and people that higher than us that will need to decide. But it's strongly likely they will be hired here. If there's not, there always is another opportunity. Could be the Monroe County Jail, could be the Monroe County Road, or one of the towns and villages. The
Mm.
efforts that we've been doing now for quite a while have obviously are well known due to all my team's hard work. They're well known around by leaders, so they know where to go to try to attract, to geofence our group, if you will, to make sure that they're making them known, hey, we have opportunities here. So someone, though we can't guarantee someone a job after they finish the 2 years here, there is an opportunity for them. They land in one of these opportunities and start their career.
Nice. Okay, so I know a big component of your program is with the community, building community trust, helping, doing these programs with young people and older adults as well.
Yeah.
What's been the feedback from the community, and are you getting agencies of daycare centers and adult daycare centers knocking at your door asking for people to come?
It's constant. We are constantly getting calls, emails, referrals from people wanting us to be part of it. And honestly, we pretty much take them all. We have our group runs with anywhere from 80 to 100 at a time. That's the comfortable number for my team and I to manage. We have a civil service list that might have a couple hundred people on it. We would triage that list and invite people as the group moves along. But the community groups, it's always been a very important component of my career. When I started, I was popping from call to call, trying to make gun arrests, make drug arrests. The crew of people that I ran with for the department, that's what I thought it all was about. You have a certain amount of success, and then I kind of had an epiphany, like, the goal out there is to serve the community. I could continue to go, and drug arrests, gun arrests are huge parts of the job. We need it to happen. That next generation of officers is out there. That was what I was back then. But I made it probably 7, 8 years into my career. I kind of used it as like, okay, how do we give back and make an impact long term? And it really comes down to making connections with the community. That's when I started running the Police Activities League for the department and tried to influence and motivate others to do it. I've been successful. It's a gift that I've got, I guess, from God, to get others to want to help. And I feel very blessed to be in that spot. So the same thing applies with today with our workforce development program, is getting folks working with the elderly. Often elderly are victims of scams. Developing those relationships, victims of crimes. There's a lot of grassroots organizations in our city who are mothers that have sons and daughters who were murdered. These people are doing salt to the earth work, and they need support. They'll do marches, they'll do demonstrations. Our folks are out there with the victims of crimes and really learning. Again, that's as close as you're going to get to it in these neighborhoods before you actually do the job, to learn. So we're doing a lot with them. One of the groups has Rock the Peace has an event coming up where they're going to be doing a Christmas party for the victims of homicide victims, for their families. So we'll be volunteering at that, which is awesome. But we do that. We volunteer a lot of after school activities, Boys and Girls Club, local rec centers, in neighborhoods where these new officers will be assigned. So you develop a relationship there. You're after school every Tuesday, every Wednesday, whatever it is. I ask these folks, Jim, I ask them for about 6 hours a month. They do a couple hundred hours in a year, because helping feels good. It's contagious. Your peers are doing it. You're also getting to know your peers when you're at these events. So you, of course, like as I mentioned, because it's constantly rolling, you remember that Jim and Justin were in this program 6 months ago, and now they're cops. So you're like, we're going to keep doing what they were doing. They liked it. They did it. Let's do that. You're giving people direction and moving them in the right area to progress. But yeah, some of the groups, a lot with the local churches. We launched our Faith Link program with our workforce development. So we have them going out with different churches, whether it's, we have the Jewish faith, Muslim faith, Catholic faith. We've gone to a bunch of churches, establishing relationships and trying to, again, expose our future officers to different cultures, religions that they're going to be experiencing. And it was pretty eye-opening. I mean, I learned a bunch of stuff too going into this. So it's even at my stage in my career. So it was great. And the requests continue to have our folks out there. And we know too, with our organization, trying to get sworn officers to be at these events, which the community wants us there. It's hard. It's hard because they're backed up doing calls for service. So really allowing the workforce to kind of fill in a lot of those spots is helpful for the department. And it's also, again, helpful because we're investing in them and they're learning about what we're doing and what they're going to be doing in the community that they hope to one day serve.
Yeah. And I think, you're doing so many different dimensions. I think one of the real basic ones that we need to, the hurdle we need to get over, especially with the Gen Z and the next generation, I guess it's Alpha, is that we need to demystify the things in the policing culture. And you're doing that, but you're also expanding out into the community so that, another thing we see in exit interviews is maybe personal reasons that turn out to be peer pressure or pressure from their own families that say, what are you doing in the police department? When what you're doing is showing them the benefits of the police in your city and how you can play a role in serving your community as well. So all of those things add up to more people being a little less afraid of the unknown and joining a
Sure.
police agency.
Sure. Because in the academy, right, we're going to teach them how to fight. We're going to teach them how to drive fast. We're going to teach them firearms. We're going to teach them stuff that's absolutely crucial. But we don't want to continue to have history repeat itself where we're not spending, I can speak for our own organization. We want to spend time, again, I know I keep saying the same thing, but it's so true to on that front end to get that emotionally intelligent officer, to hedge our bets that we're getting that guy. I mean, the investment on an officer is like a couple $100,000 where when you put it all together,
Sure.
right? So let's get that right from the start. Let's make sure that we've got those folks that Gen Alpha, Gen Z, that we are, and doing things that appeals to them. A lot of folks, I think when we started launching the workforce development, even when I was doing it privately with police exam career prep, why are you volunteer? It's always been something to start my career back in 2003. I wanted to be a police officer very badly, like most people who are in this industry.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I'm waiting. What should I do? And I said to myself, I started volunteering at a lot of senior homes, playing bingo with senior citizens, or I got connected with this group called Crisis Services that would basically, I'd be on call. I did some training. I'd be on call in the middle of the night to deal with victims of sexual assault and domestic violence. And you go to the hospital and be an advocate. Way above my head at that point. I was a fish out of water, but it really motivated me to say, hey, this is definitely what I want to do. I was inspired by it. So I had to kind of pause my young 20s life and focused on like, this is what I want to do. And I'll tell you, what did I hear from my background investigator when I was a rookie? He saw me on a call and he said, I'm never going to forget. This guy's name was Jim May. He goes, we were all sitting around the table looking at all the different candidates. And we saw that you volunteered with victims of sexual assault and domestic violence. Wow. And for me, I was like, it was wow for me too, because I couldn't believe that I was doing it. But that's where the genesis of getting these folks in the community comes from. I did it myself. So I know it's important. I know it meant a lot to the people that I was helping. And I know it definitely helped me double down on the fact that this is what I want to do with my life. There's nothing like this career, but you need to know that it's probably the greatest transition you're ever going to make. For me, this career was the greatest, next to fatherhood. This was the greatest transition of my life because you go from just, as you know, a regular person to now you are a police officer. That is much different. It's a whole different lens to look through, but we don't want people to forget who they're out there helping. Officers go from call to call to call, and we know that we deal with probably the same 100 people who are up to no good, right? There are thousands of people who live in these tough neighborhoods that are good people that go to work, that try to raise their family, trying to keep people safe. Some of them may be in poverty, but they're good people. We want to make sure that we expose our future officers to all those people. Because when you get in that loop and you're running and gunning, going to calls and you're young, you can't forget about all those people in those neighborhoods that we brought you over and over again who are looking for someone to take care of them, looking to provide. When they call 911, they want you to have their back. Don't forget about that. And that comes with time.
Yeah. Hey, I want to be mindful of your time, Justin. I got to say, I love your energy. And yeah, you're working and you're doing this. You could be working your side business as well, but you've devoted your time to Rochester, New York, police, fire, EMS, 911 services, and the rest of the city. I think that's what it's going to take to get us over this recruiting challenge. And, so many officers, I just looked at our annual survey, the police one, what cops want in 2024. We're going to be starting to push out our what cops want in 2025. I'm going to do a year-end wrap-up show talking about what line officers want and need, the support they need. And I get it that after a long career, some people just want to walk away and not look back. But I commend people like you and others that are doing it without the benefit of making a ton of money, but they're doing it because they've had a good career, they've had great opportunities, met great people, and they're looking to give back. So thanks for what you do. And I want to give you the opportunity. What do you got cooking? What's your newest program? What can we look forward to?
Yeah, again, I think our newest initiatives is trying to build those relationships with private public safety at colleges, build those relationships with our with campus safety at hospitals, and build those relationships with the public safety of colleges, campus safety, and the private security firms. Because also volunteer firefighting is another very popular thing in our area. But these are service-minded individuals who we all kind of operate in silos. We don't talk to such and such. They don't talk to us. And I've really wanted to open up that door and get everyone talking. And everybody wants to know what's in it for them. Well, for us, we've got service-minded people who, hey, we might want to work in, that might want to be a volunteer fireman. That's great. They can do both here. They can be a police officer and a volunteer fireman. But people say perhaps they don't make it through our field training. We can send them to a public safety agency or a private security, at least give them a look and give them leads on good candidates. Because anyone who's in hiring now knows that it's kind of far and few between at times when you get candidates, whether they're going to show up for the interview, whether their resume is going to be prepared. So we're sending you hot leads. It's the best way to describe a private term, right? But a good candidate for you to take a look at to see if they're, and you do your due diligence to see if they're a good fit for your organization. So that's what's in it for them. What's in it for us is, I mean, just the other day, one of my employees who has backgrounds asked me a question. They said, hey, I'm talking to someone and I figured you'd be the person to ask. They're a volunteer fireman and they heard that you can't be a volunteer fireman and be a police officer. That's never, ever been the case. It's ridiculous. But I was like, well, see, that's exactly what we're talking about. That's the universe just letting us know that we're doing the right thing. I said, that's totally not true. So what's in it for us is dialogue. We know that we still wages wise, out of all those industries I mentioned, we're predominantly where we make the most. So people are always going to naturally try to gravitate towards it. We're also the one that's featured in movies and TVs and all those things. So there's always going to be that appeal. But by that, we're of the mindset by consistently having dialogue and sending them stuff where they benefit. We think long term, them promoting our organization, what we're doing, our benefits. They know the people that have the hunger to want to get into this industry are going to want to do that anyways. So let's have them come to us. Again, let's have them come to RPD where we work in our area. Let's show them opportunities. A lot of times, right, knowing people and having a connection to people. So let me introduce you to one of my officers, Officer Calderon, or let me introduce you to one of Sergeant Collins. Let me introduce you to them. It starts that, okay, I'm a friend of such and such. That's how the world works, right? And then you start them on that process of this is what you need to do. This is how it works. Why don't you join our workforce development? Jim, I bet you if you had $1 for every time someone throughout your career asked you, hey, I want to be a police officer. What should I do, right? You'd be a multi-millionaire, right? Because We tell them we buy a book to study, or you should start doing push-ups and sit-ups. What we do is say, hey, come to workforce development. Let's figure this out. Is it really what you want to do? We're going to know pretty quickly whether this is a good fit for you. So we have a home for them, a place to refer them, and a community, as I mentioned, those other students that are in the program to help raise them. Because I don't have 24 hours a day for every single person. So that community will raise them that we've invested in on the front end.
Nice. Well, thanks for taking time and being on the show, Sergeant Justin Collins, friend of the show, returning guest, Director of Police Recruitment and Workforce Development for Rochester, New York. Thanks for the selfless work that you do, Justin. Keep it going. I'm looking forward to seeing you on LinkedIn and the other social media to promote your young people. Great job.
Appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving. Take care.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Good talking with Justin. Hey, to our listeners, hope you enjoyed the show. Drop me a line at policingmatters@policeone.com. Let me know what you think, what your agency's doing. Does your agency have something that we should be talking about? Because Justin's expanding that view from that narrow focus for just police candidates to getting people into the workforce in general and being able to put people where they fit best. So hopefully you've got something like that or something different. If you do, drop me a line and let me know. And hey, holiday seasons, roads are treacherous. Stay safe out there. Thanks for working these holidays. And don't forget to take care of yourself. All right. Take good care. Talk to you again real soon.